Well, good evening, and happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition of the Leadership Edge. I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. This Leadership Edge podcast is dedicated to giving you all things leadership, to give you that edge that you need to be a better leader, a more effective leader, to expand your horizon. And so we just talk leadership. So glad you tuned in again. Happy Tuesday. Trust you having a great day. We are flat dab in the middle of the holiday season, and I know that you are in the midst of it, shopping and doing things, and it's a time of giving. So we're giving gifts to friends and loved ones, and so in the midst of all of that, we take time out to refresh ourselves and continue our education through listening to podcasts that will give us information we need to help us. So thank you for tuning in to the Leadership Edge. Now let me know where you're watching us from. In the comments section, just let us know where you're watching from. Ted from Texas, Bill from Baltimore, wherever you may be, Sally from Sacramento, go ahead and put that in there, okay? Also hit the like button, the share button, amen, and like us and follow. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube, amen, BGTV Studios YouTube channel. Subscribe to that and get access to all the other podcasts. And don't forget to share, help us to spread far and wide. You can do that. And also comment during the podcast, especially around things that we say that help you and minister you. It helps helps myself and all the other podcasts, as well as the staff and leadership here at BGTV Studios, see the effect that we're having and that we're being effective in these podcasts. Okay? Thank you very much. All right. Let's talk leadership. We're talking about the challenge of leadership, and this will be segment number 11, the challenge of leadership. We've been on this for 11 whole weeks, the challenge of leadership, okay? And we've been talking about the various types of challenges that leaders face. I'm a leader. I love leading. That's where my passion is. That's where my drive is. And so as a leader, I want to give you the stuff that's going to help you, increase you, improve you, and all of those things. So now when we talk about the challenges leaders face, we're talking about the various different things that we face. And now we want to talk about the new perspective. We were talking about new pains. We talked about new people, new pains, new places. And we're talking now about new perspectives. Every leader should have proper perspective, okay? Getting perspective simply means that we're forcing ourselves to think in new ways. We all need new perspectives, okay? But new perspectives means that we think in new ways. We have to be healthy enough to admit that we need to do things different. We need to think different. More than that, we need to be able to admit it and acknowledge that we cannot be strong in every area. Now let's talk about perspective. Perspective has everything to do with how you see things. And if you don't see things properly, then your whole premise of function is going to be flawed because you are seeing the wrong picture. Let's talk about perspective. Everyone has it. Whether you know it or not, whether you want to accept it or not, we all have perspective. Where do we get them from? Come from different places. We don't get all our perspectives from one source. There are several different sources. There's our family, We get perspectives from our family. That's where we grow up at. That's the house we grew up in. So that's what we're hearing most of our lives. We're hearing different things. And so we get those perspectives from our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, our aunts, our brothers and sisters are older. And so our family plays a great deal in helping to shape our perspectives. And the reason why, because again, they are the ones that's influencing us. Remember, John Maxwell says that leadership is what? Influence. And who influences you more than your family in the early part of your life? Those are the main people you see. Those are the ones you grew up with. Those are the ones you trust. And so therefore you listen and you get perspectives from them. Second place, we get perspectives from our friends. Initially, it's our childhood friends. While we're in childhood, there might be a friend that's in the neighborhood. He may be a little smarter. He may be a little more of a leader or bossy. The people we hang around, we tend to gain perspectives from. That's our friends. As we grow older and move on, our friends begin to change. We go to college, so we leave the guys from the neighborhood and we get a whole new set of friends. They begin to shape our perspectives too. We leave college, we go into the business world, into the arena, or what are we going to do? Whether it's sports or business, you go into that arena, and guess what? You meet new people. Guess what? You develop new friends. Guess what? They affect your perspectives too. So at different levels, the friends always change. Now, I don't have the same best friends today that I had in high school. I didn't fall out with my best friends in high school. There were people I was friends with in high school. I had several good friends. There was a guy named Rick Robinson, was a good friend of mine. There was a guy named William Spann. We were good friends. Daniel Worthy. We were good friends. These are all guys I went to school with. And then on the female side, there was Louise Rambert. We were good friends. We were all good friends. And so I haven't fallen out with any of them. And I go back to South Carolina, where I'm from, where we grew up at. I see them. We still we kind of pick up and hey, good to see you, and talk about the old times. But because life carried us different ways. So the friendship didn't stay as it was because life took us different ways. We all went different places, different locations. And so you can't maintain that. So it doesn't mean that you fell out with them. It's like when I first started ministry. Some of my best friends in ministry are not my best friends today. Okay? Again, not because I fell out with any of them, because life and ministry took us different ways. Okay? Some of them went other ways. I went this way, and some of them went to different locations. And so friends are changing. But the friends are the ones who help shape our perspectives, okay? Our culture, the environment that we grow up in. Now let's look at the culture from a couple of different standpoints. Number one, I'm talking about the general culture. That's the culture generally that everybody is a part of. Culture try to get you to think a certain way. It's like right now in America, there's certain ways the culture wants you to think. So they keep pumping certain things at us, trying to make us accept this and make that a part of our perspective. Okay? And it's really challenging to some of us who are like I'm a man of God. I'm a pastor. I teach leadership. I love leadership. But my primary calling in life is to pastor. I'm a pastor first. I'm a leadership strategist and expert second. Okay, so being a pastor, my perspectives from a spiritual standpoint all come from the Word of God. That's my worldview. I have a biblical based worldview. Okay, that's a problem with somebody. If that's a problem for somebody, then that's their problem, not mine. I'm not going to change my worldview that's biblically based because you got an issue with it. That's on you, okay? So, but there's something that the culture is trying to push at us that, from my perspective, is anti-biblical, anti-Bible, anti-Christ, anti-what I stand for, okay? And so I have to take a stand. You say, no, I'm not gonna be shaped that way. Now, some of us may be in lonely company. We may be out there by ourselves because most people don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to get protested. They don't want to get canceled. All of this here doesn't matter. So the culture tries to shape our perspectives. And I am shocked at how many people I see who are professed believers yet have their perspective shaped by the culture. They've given in to the culture's demand to make us think and have certain perspectives on certain things. So the culture does. That's number one, the general culture. Then besides the general culture, there is a culture that we live in our sphere of authority. I call it our small world, our world. Okay, my world within the world. Okay, so there's a culture that we live in. There's a culture that's just neighborhood. Okay, every neighborhood got a different culture, almost like so. So the culture that you live in and that environment shapes your perspectives. Education shape your perspective. The more you have, it more affect your perspectives. Less you have, the less it does. Okay, but education, the one thing education does is it exposes you. It opens your worldview. It opens the world up to you, and you see things that you never saw before. Okay, and you get exposed to stuff. Now the deal with believers, and this is what we have to tell our young kids when they go off to college. Make sure your worldview is not disturbed, because you're going to see things. You're going to have professors who don't believe in the God you believe in, okay? And their job is to persuade you toward their atheistic and Gnostic views. And so you got to make sure that your worldview is solid, okay? And you don't allow exposure to change your perspective and have you question what you believed and been taught your whole life, what you grew up in, what you experienced, that your experience wasn't real. And so education, that's the downside to education, because they try to reshape your thinking process. But the exposure is very good, because it gives you insight into the world beyond your world. And what you find out is the world is a very vast place with globs of diversity. Okay, with education, and people that lack education, then their perspectives is very narrow, because they can't see beyond the scope of their understanding, which is severely limited. There's no knock on them. I'm not calling them, I'm not knocking them. I'm just simply saying the lack of education hinders your ability to have broad perspectives. It hinders it because you don't have the exposure. You don't know the world that's out there. Okay? And so these are some of the things that shape our perspectives. Okay? Now, so one perspective we have to have, again, is that in this new way of thinking, is that we are not strong in every area. Not necessarily good in every area. There's some things we're lacking in. There's some areas we're lacking in. When I try to be strong in every area, what I create is an independent spirit, which simply means I try to be self-sufficient. I try to make it on my own. I don't need you. I can handle it. I got this. That's really what that says. It is healthier to have what we call in leadership a trans-dependable spirit. In other words, that means that you are depending on somebody else. I'm strong here, but I'm not strong there. And I may never get strong there. So what I do in order to improve myself there is I'm depending on somebody in my relationship circle to come alongside me, and they bear my strength in this area. I'm depending on them for strength right here. Just like they're depending on me for strength in another place. That's how God designed the body. We were never designed to be independent. We were designed to be interdependent. That is, dependent upon one another. That is the true identification and work of the body of Christ. When we truly have each other's back, and I strengthen your weakness and you strengthen my weakness. That's how it goes. Without taking advantage of your weakness, I cover your weakness with my strength. You cover my weakness with your strength. That's where perspectives come from. So here's what this also does. Listen to me, leaders. What this also does, when you understand that you have a transdependence view, it keeps you from having a large ego, because you realize your limitation and your need for someone else. In his book, Good to Great, one of the classic leadership books that I have read, totally enjoyed it, Good to Great, the author, Jim Collins, reminds us that years of research have shown us and have proven that the high-level leaders have a great personal mix of humility and strong will. They have strong will and humility. What they don't have is large egos. Why? Because what research has shown is that large egos are detrimental to the organization. Okay? So the top level leaders, Jim Collins in Good to Great called them level 5 leaders. They all have put their ego in check. When they walk into the building, they leave their ego outside. They leave their ego in the car. Okay? Because they realize that what they're dealing with is bigger than them. And so I don't need nothing to sabotage what we are doing. Are you listening to me? So that's perspective. Now, let me give you some tools for getting perspective. When you're searching for new perspective, the place to find it is connecting with new people, other people. You won't find new perspective by yourself. You have to connect with other people. Because what those other people will do is they'll give you other perspectives of various things, and they will challenge your thinking process in the midst of it. Okay? So that means that when I walk into a room, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room, because I am looking for new perspectives. And I will not and cannot get them if I think and I always got to be the smartest person in the room. No. To get new perspective, you got to get around other people. You'd be surprised how much it helps shape your thinking and shape it in a way that causes increase to come to your life and in the things that you do. Look what this author says. He says, I need to be around people who know more than me, because then I can walk away knowing more than I did when I walked in. Okay? So I need to be around people who know more than me, because I can walk away knowing more then than I did when I walked in. So I'm going to walk in with this much information or knowledge, but because I went into a room with people that knew more than me, I walked out with this much information or knowledge. Okay, I automatically increase, because anytime you go around people who are smarter than you, you leave the room knowing more than you did. Leaders who are healthy leaders. And that's something that we have to talk about down the road, is healthy leaders, leadership health. Because a lot of leaders are not healthy. But healthy leaders don't see other people's ideas as threat. You can always tell when a leader's unhealthy, because he sees everyone else's idea, especially people who are smarter and sharper, as a threat. The Bible example of this is Saul. David was the most loyal person, or one of the most loyal persons in the Bible. Saul kept seeing him as a threat, thinking that David wanted his kingdom, and that was the last thing David wanted. David wanted to serve the king, like any citizen of Israel. So, when you're healthy, you're not threatened by the ideas or opinions of others. When you are healthy, you can ask people in the room, what do you think? What do you think about this? Give me your perspective. Show me where I'm good at. Show me where I'm lacking at. Dissect this plan for me. Dissect this strategy for me. That's what healthy leaders do. Unhealthy leaders will never ask for input from those around them. I said it, I'll say it again. Unhealthy leaders never ask for input from those around them. They never ask. Why? Because they are unhealthy. More likely insecure. Insecurity is a very unhealthy trait. Okay? That's what happened to Saul, like was said in the Bible. All right, now, so how do we get new perspective? What are some of the things we need to do to increase? Well, you got to do several things. You got to ask yourself several questions as a leader over an organization. If you're trying to get a new perspective for the organization, number one, you got to ask the question, what is our mission? What is our mission? Not what is our vision, because vision and mission are two different things. So many times we try to lump them together and use them interchangeably, but they're not. Mission speaks to what we should be doing. Vision speaks to how we are going to do it and what it's going to look like at the end of the day. Vision is a picture of the completed picture when it's done. Okay? And when we finish everything up, this is what it should look like. That's vision. Mission is not that. Mission is, what is it that we do? I give you a case in point. At our church, Covenant Church International, here in Clay, Alabama, outskirts of Birmingham. Our mission, what we should be doing, is raising leaders for the harvest. That's what we do. We raise leaders. We see everybody as a potential leader. That's the what. If we are not doing that, we're not doing our mission. The vision statement of Covenant Church International is to develop a community of believers who model Christ likeness and who are leaders in the cultural, social transformation of Birmingham, Alabama. So when the deal is done, we should have a body of believers who model Christ likeness. And they are leading in every perspective of our society. They're leaders in politics, they're leaders in education, they're leaders in business. We've affected all those areas. And so therefore we are leading transformation in the social, the cultural, and the spiritual transformation of Birmingham, Alabama. My time is up. Good discussion. We'll pick it up next week. Okay? Want to remind you to go to my website, www.pronaldwilder.com. It's on the screen there for you. They have email address. You can see my book sitting there in the left corner. It's called The ABCs of Leadership. On my website, you can purchase that book. If you do, I'll autograph the copy and send it to you. Okay? The Lord bless you. Don't forget to go by my shop page on my website and peruse it for some of our leadership teaching. We have some great leadership teachings on there that'll bless you. Here's what could be a good Christmas gift, the bundle package. It is just only a jump drive with all 33 teachings that's on my website on here. And if you were to buy the bundle, you would get this. You just stick it into your computer and you can play me. You can download it for less than half of what you buy everything else for. So this would be a good Christmas gift. Get somebody the bundle package. Hey, somebody you know is a leader, give this to them. Say, hey, listen to these leadership messages, leadership teachings, and improve your leadership. Okay? All right. You can get that at the website again, www.covenantchurchintl.org. Don't forget, we ask you for your support of BGTV Studios. It's Christmas time. It's the end of the year. Some of you have to give some things to get for taxes. Listen, consider BGTV Studios. As you're giving this year, give to BGTV Studios. As you're making your year-end givings and your New Year's commitments, consider BGTV Studios. Now, the ways to give are going to pop on the screen. There are 3 ways: the website, there's Venmo, and there's Cash App. You can scan either of those with your camera phone and go ahead and give. You will be blessed. 100% of what you give goes to the ministry and the work of BGTV Studios. Podcasters get none of that. Thank you for supporting as a one-time gift or a monthly supporter. God bless you. Time is up. This is P. Ronald Wilder reminding you of 2 things: leaders lead and leadership matters. Have a good week, and I'll see you on next Tuesday.